All right. Well, I'll go ahead and get started. No idea if this is actually going up or not, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Pardon me. Well, today is the 25th of January, 2023. Welcome as you come in. I'm Roy Potter. There we go. Now I can see that we're up. I have to give it that 20 seconds or so because it's delayed. There's no question about that. Both on when I'm on my regular Wi-Fi or internet service, or on my phone internet service. Either way, it takes about a half a minute to actually get loaded up. Well, I thought I'd come on early this morning. I didn't come on yesterday. I was busy yesterday. I wasn't able to get in, and a couple things have happened that I thought I would like to discuss this morning. Hello, everyone, as you come in. Thank you so much, Mr. Satan. Satan means accuser. I hope you know that. And that's not all bad. Sometimes you need an accuser, like Adam Schiff needs an accuser right now. Uh, Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, threw Adam Schiff and Eric Swallowswell, as we like to say, off the House Intelligence Committee, and that was the right thing to do. Both of them have inappropriate, if not, uh, I'd say, damn near treasonous ties, not just with foreign countries, but with some of the activities that they've been involved in. They have no business being on the House Intelligence Committee. And then Schiff comes out and says that he's not finished. We're going to see more of him, and he's going to fight for the democracy, his democracy. Well, of course, his democracy is all about destroying your liberty, life, and pursuit of happiness. I should just say life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So it's one of the good things McCarthy has done. Frankly, I think he ought to, if there's any way to do it, I don't know what the House rules are, but they need to censor both of those guys. And as far as I'm concerned, when they're not in session, they should be arrested for high crimes and misdemeanors, possibly even including treason. And I sent that out on Twitter this morning. So that's yeah. Oh, I'm always up early. I'm always up by 4 a.m. always. 4:30 at the very latest. You can't go through the military all those years and change your biological clock. It's just I'm kind of in that rut. So that's where we are. Anyway, so that was the first piece of information I saw. Adam Schiff, he isn't a crybaby. What he is he's, and I'm going to be a little vulgar here, ladies and gentlemen. So, no, I haven't had coffee yet. Uh, I've gotten that way more and more lately, where I'm more and more vulgar because, as I once told you with a story when I was transitioned from the military to the police, and then I went back to the military, of course. Um, in the military, the military police duty officer, the military police officers anyway, you just don't mess around with them. You just don't. And so I never had to use four-letter words with anybody. I just wasn't raised that way. Then I got the police department and tried to do the same thing, and people didn't think I was serious unless I told them in four-letter words to do what I wanted them to do. It was really kind of bad. But at any rate, so what I've learned is people like Schiff and Swalwell, they don't understand civil language. They don't understand language that's polite yet can be quite degrading. And I've done that, and I found out it doesn't work. So I just have to be vulgar about it, and I'm going to say it. Both Schiff and Falwell, slip of the tongue, Eric Swalwell. Both of them have oral and rear end backdoor receptacles for the intelligence community and for enemies of Americans. And I'm just going to say it. And I said that on Twitter this morning. And I don't mind saying these things anymore. I'm tired of using polite language with these people that really are enemies. They are in fact enemies. So more needs to be done to Adam Schiff and Swalwell than just refusing to put them on the Intelligence Committee. And I understand that Speaker McCarthy is still planning on putting them on other committees. Well, no, he shouldn't even do that. Damn the Democrats. And it's not just the Democrats. I know it's a left-right paradigm, false left-right paradigm, and all that. But this kind of stuff is just demoralizing to the American people to see these guys get away with these things and have no real punishments. Which brings up the next story, next comment, which has to do with the title of this video. U.S. is injustice for all, no longer justice for all, but injustice for all. You know, really in the Constitution, you're not guaranteed justice. Did you know that? Did you know that the Constitution nor the Bill of Rights, which is part of the Constitution, ensures that you will receive justice? What it ensures you is that you will get due process. Well, okay, well, human beings aren't, and this is the reason why they put it that way in the Constitution. Justice is something that human beings really can't do very well. I mean, at our very best, we're worse. We're bad. So it made sense to say, well, we can't guarantee justice, but we can guarantee due process. Yet we see that that doesn't happen. Due process is changed depending upon definitions. For instance, the January 6 people aren't getting due process. Not really. Because of the terrorism, the way the laws are written, anytime you're accused of this terroristic baloney, which I have warned about, as I've talked about since the 1980s, being one of the first officers through the Army's terrorism counteraction course, I realized that the definitions for terrorism that they were even using back then, and there were only maybe a dozen of them at that point, could be used for any American. If the government wanted to accuse them of terrorism, they could do it. And I warned about that since that time, even publicly, actually endangering my position with the military, obviously. But at any rate, that's what the situation is. So now we have not just dozens, but scores, if not hundreds of these things that they can call you a domestic terrorist. For instance, we saw Dan Crenshaw, Republican from Texas, call the Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert and the 20 who were standing up against McCarthy here a few weeks back. He was calling them insurrectionists and terrorists. Do you see what's wrong here? All right. So, in other words, what I'm saying is that the U.S. has devolved into a situation where you don't even get due process anymore. So, justice is out the window, and due process is a close second. And I've been warning about that for a long time too, and nothing seems to be able to turn it around. The intelligence community says that they don't need to tell you anything because everything they do is secret, so that you can't defend yourself. You can't even defend yourself. And nobody will do anything about it. So, one of the most recent examples of this, I'm going to mention two things. The first is all these people like Dr. Faustus, read between the lines there, who has been caught doing all these things along with a lot of other people, including the big FARM, I'm abbreviating here and using a different acronym here, FARMA companies who have been caught. They can't be held criminally liable unless they committed fraud, which they demonstrably they have, and yet nothing's being done to them. Okay, and in fact, they should be all tried under the Nuremberg Code. Okay, all of them, and yet our corrupt DOJ and FBI do nothing. The FDA does nothing. The CDC does nothing. That are coming out and saying these things that are obviously they're trying to backpedal. Yet at the same time, I still see these big pushes for the OWS. Remember, I'm talking in code here. All right. So at any rate, there is no justice for us, the American people, that have been defrauded from these people who have done these horrible things to us. Okay. And yet, I think there are probably several examples of this over the country, but I'm familiar with one in Utah that just happened. I tweeted it out a couple days ago, I think, yesterday or a couple days ago, about a Utah doctor that was giving saline shots to the kids instead of the COVID vaccinations. Those he was basically throwing away. I shouldn't have said that. Big mistake, I guess. But anyway, he was doing that to save the lives of those children. Well, I'm not sure what the prosecuting agency is that's going after him and members of his staff. I think it's the doctor, the head nurse, and 2 or 3 others that were in there. But they may have not even known what was going on. They may not have even been aware of what was really happening. They were just doing the work, and so, but because they were all there, they're all accused. because the government doesn't care. The government doesn't care. You know, they're going to have to hire attorneys and all that to defend themselves. The doctor for sure knew what was going on. The rest of them, I don't know. Okay. But even at that, whether they did know or they didn't, all right, they are being held to account for not giving this thing, which has been highly contested. And I'm going to put it this way again. I'm talking in code. They have been charged and they're being prosecuted for this thing. And what's really crazy is people are looking at them as being, including the government, of course, looking at them as somehow being evil. And I just want to make this connection. It might get me thrown off YouTube. Sometimes you just got to say it, even when I try to veil the information. There are people who have violated the laws in the past to save people's lives. Hundreds and thousands of lives. Really save lives. You might remember that during the late 1930s on up through the 40s, there were people who risked not only their freedom, but their very lives to protect people that a certain regime in Europe was going after. And I don't mean just one religion. I mean anybody that stood up against them. Okay? So there were people that it was against the law to help these ne'er-do-wells that the government there in Europe had declared. It was against the law to help them, but people did it anyway. Well, I liken that to what this group of medical people did here in Utah to try to salvage the lives and the health of people. So I consider them heroes. Okay, there are probably some other factors involved here, some other mitigating circumstances, and I'm sure there are, but that's the bottom line. Okay, that is the bottom line. I don't know of any kind of a funding program right now to help them out. Some people say, well, it's a doctor and a nurse. Well, no, it's not just that. People that supposedly make money, there are some other people in the office there that are just regular people with probably wage earners. They're going to need some help in their defense. So if I hear about any kind of a fund, I will do the vetting for it. Okay, I will personally do the vetting for it if I hear of one. I can't. Roy's on top of this edition. Oh, thank you. I can't. I will make sure that whatever fund that comes out that I vet, I will let you know about if you want to help them out. They're really good people. I actually went and met them. Okay, I actually went over to talk to them about it. I didn't talk to the doctor, but I talked to the rest of the staff. Good people. They don't deserve this. It's the evil government that should be held to account, and the evil Charlie Delta Charlie, and the evil Foxtrot Delta Alpha. They should be held to account. So I just wanted to bring that up this morning to show you the injustice that continues to happen in this country. January 6 people still locked up, not getting due process. We just saw these riots in Atlanta from the Democratic. Well, I don't want to say Democrat. I'm going to say because it's not just them. Okay, that they say that they're the Democratic guerrilla force, but they're really not for the Democrats. They're really the evil force for the autocratic, tyrannical intelligence community. Okay, I'll just put it that way. And you should know what I'm talking about with the riots that just happened in Atlanta. They even got into the Atlanta airport and were doing things in there. And yet, I'm sure there are people that are going to be arrested, but the FBI comes out and says, "Oh, we can't call it a terrorist organization because it's not really a formally organized group." And I say, bullshit. If the FBI doesn't go after them, the FBI is protecting them. I know how this works. I've worked with the FBI enough to know, okay? They're protecting them. By and large, the people that really count. Look at the Black Lives Matter lady who used a lot of the money to buy herself a couple $1 million mansion, something like that. All these things, they're being protected by the people that are trying to destroy what this country is really supposed to be about. Yeah, like they did the Bundys, exactly. And of course, you know, I was there at Bundy Ranch. Saw all of it happen. I was never called into court because Lieutenant Colonel the former Lieutenant Colonel being able to go in there and testify against the BLM, the FBI, and the government. Oh no! They didn't dare go there. They didn't dare go there. I know another Lieutenant Colonel, same thing. an active duty lieutenant colonel that was there. And they didn't call him either for the same reason. You know, they can't have us out there testifying, at least because we know, right? You understand? So I wanted to bring that up. I also wanted to bring up the situation because Guy Bouillon, the the uh, the journalist out of French Canada, that is, he calls me his colleague, which really it's really special that he would do that. I'm nowhere near uh, his spot in that profession, and I do consider it a profession. I'm a commentator. He's a real journalist, and but he calls me his colleague, and I really appreciate that. And Guy, if you're listening, I want to thank you. I got a tweet from him just the other day, and he wants to interview me on a program that he has, and we're working that out. I'm not sure all the technical things that are going to happen with that, but we're going to do it. I think it's a good thing, and I guess there'll be a translator. I'm not really sure how all that's going to work. I really don't know. He says he's also going to translate it and put it out in articles that'll go all over Europe, etc. But at any rate, in this tweet, he saw me over the years now really calling out Trump for his support of, you know, he's saved millions, hundreds of millions of lives with his OWS, which is a total lie. It's not just narcissism; it's psychopathy, sociopathy. It's a lie, and the guy is pushing that for whatever purposes, money, whatever, because he's been told he's going to be taken out if he doesn't. I don't know. But he's still pushing that stuff. And he's saying he saved 100 million lives, which, first of all, statistically, you can't prove. It's just the opposite. And he won't come out, of course, and admit his error on that, even with all the evidence that's coming out now. So, at any rate, Guy Bouillon has asked me to go on a program to talk about that. And he's also asked me, will you do a YouTube video about it? Well, Guy, you understand I have to be careful how I talk here. You know the things I would like to say, but I can't. And I could go over and put it on, probably my Odyssey account and really let go, but it just doesn't get the coverage, even though I talk about it. And for everybody that's here, you should know that I have an account on Odyssey. You can go see my videos there. Sometimes I put things up there that I don't put up here, or that I reference here without actually giving the information, because YouTube doesn't like that either. But you can go to odyssey.com. I'm on there at Royston Potter, so you can go there and see it. And I think it's Roy Potter QA. I think both. I think you can get it on both. Anyway, the link is in in my. If you go to my about tab here on YouTube, I think it's listed there. Maybe LBRY is still there, but it'll take you to it. Okay, so you can still get that. But anyway, I'm not going to put this information up right now that I'm talking about with Trump there. I'll just do it this way here. Again, he asked me to bring this up and how I feel about it, and I think everybody knows that I loathe Trump for not this, but a lot of other things. I consider him a real enemy, that he's a pretense and he's a liar and a deceiver. Yeah, he did a few good things. I got some good people in the Supreme Court, kind of, you know, but he didn't do as much good as people thought. He did a lot more damage than he did good. And I don't mean the fact that he was calling out the opposition. Frankly, I found that refreshing. I didn't really mind even his sometimes clown acts, as long as he was calling out the bad side. What I disliked were his actions on not going after the real investigation into LV, the Las Vegas massacre, not going after Hillary Clinton when he said he would. Remember that? Um, Actually doing things against the Second and First Amendments, active things, not just passive. And then, of course, going along with the whole shenanigan over the last few years of the shutdowns and the OWS and all that, and pushing all that, and not recanting and not telling people the dangers, not admitting it. The way he could save millions of lives is by speaking out. No, he hasn't. If he saved 100 million lives with this thing, he's killing hundreds of millions of people by not admitting the truth, maybe billions. And then we see all these other things that are happening, which I could talk about. Bill Gates, you know, uh, what he and Soros and Klaus Schwab and that entire group continue to do, I hear, is just appalling. And governments should be here to protect us against these these criminals, really, is what they are. Remember, even the scripture says that the devil will go around the earth looking for people to devour. Well, that's what these guys do. So the definition is right there. And nobody will stop them. I've called out for, some of the, I got to be careful how they say it. You're not supposed to talk about violence on YouTube. Well, these guys need to be collared by anybody that is willing and able to do it. Whether it's these guys here, which may just happen, and we're going to talk about a little bit more of that in just a minute. But they need to be taken down. So nobody in our government's willing to do it. As a matter of fact, they're all pretty much in cahoots with it. With everything that these guys are doing, I hear people saying, and even Alexander Mercouris and Alex Christoforou and some others are saying, well, it looks like people aren't going to the WEF anymore. They're kind of looking at it as a clown organization. I would be very careful about that. What I would think would be happening here is that that the operators are drawing back so they're not as noticeable. Okay, that's the way I look at it. I don't believe that they're out of the organization. They think it's buffoonery. No, they know what that is and they know who's controlling it. And if they're not there for whatever reason, if they don't have the number of people there that they've had in the past, it's not because they the WEF, we don't want anybody to think that that's a bad, or we want people to know that's a bad organization, we don't want to go. No, they're being drawn back so their faces aren't recognized as being part of the group. Okay, that's what they're doing. I don't consider this to be a good sign really at all, or they come out publicly and denounce it. So anyway, I don't hold the same viewpoint about why there were lower numbers at Davos this year than normal. My feeling is that these operatives are kind of stepping back out of the limelight. I think they're extremely dangerous. And our DOJ, FBI, and military will not do anything to stop it. Again, no, I don't want to see this. We're getting closer and closer to a major war, but that's what these idiots over here want, because like I said, if they can't have total control, they'll destroy everything, and I've warned about that for a long time. Yeah. Okay, so I think for this morning, that's probably all I'm going to talk about. I wanted to bring those things up. We have, as I've long said, we have nobody on our side, and the people that we do have on our side are by and large impotent for the most part. Even the few people in the House of Representatives, I mean, they can pass all the bills they want, but unless it goes through the Senate, gets approved there without any major changes, and then of course gets to the president's desk for signing, which he's going to veto anything of any substance, nothing much is going to happen. The states are going to have to take control. The federal government's done, as I've long said. The way the feds have come after, for instance, these doctors is a good example. Yet they won't come after the really evil ones, as I've mentioned, the ones who really deserve to be Nuremberged. All right. So again, prep, pray, stay out of the way, and keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground, and your situation awareness on high. You got to keep getting ready, and it's getting harder to do. The cost of things are going up. The ability to get land or even get people together to do things is getting harder and harder. And as I've warned some of my friends, some of these people that I went to see, these doctors' assistants, I told them, I said, you really don't know who to trust. The FBI has InfraGard, these just low-brow people who want to be secret agents, and they're willing for some small amenity or some small remuneration to spy out your liberties. And they're everywhere. Probably people that have been friends of yours for a long time. And this is sad because that's one of the things. Not only does the government get information on people that they really have no business getting, and they don't have to say how they got it. They can just say that it was a tip, right? But more than that, it gets people to not trust each other. Okay, and that's part of the thing. That was the whole reason for the Stasi and the way that they ran things in the Soviet Union and even in China and other countries. These snitches, you don't know who's a real snitch. It could be your best friend or somebody who pretended to be your best friend. I've had friends that turned out to be informants. never got anything on me, but they tried. They tried to set me up a number of times. Okay, and so that is a real issue. And I'm sorry to say that you can't trust anybody, even somebody you may have known for years. Yeah, divide and conquer, and they're in control with their security apparatus, right? But just be aware of it. Um, I don't know what to say. You know, the thing that this nation is doing to its own citizens, not not even including what they're doing to the rest of the world, is evil to the core. Greetings from Western Maryland. All right, Western Maryland. What part of Western Maryland? The shore there. I used to go to Ocean City, Maryland, during the summer when I was in high school. I used to spend quite a bit of time there. As a matter of fact, the Eastern Shore there is really a great place. Deep Creek Lake. Okay, I'm not sure where that is. All right, I already gave my exit information, but I will mention a little thing about what's going on over here. Uh, Ukraine is a corrupt place. We should all know it. And anybody who's saying that Russia needs to be stopped under this situation, they're evil too. Okay, Lindsey Graham, Mike McCall, representative, or I think he's a representative, Mike McCall. All of these people that are calling for more support for Ukraine are just pocketing more money, and what they're really after is the destruction of this. Because in the future, and I'm not saying I wanted to see this, we should have done what they're doing. Okay, I'll just put it that way. And a lot of people don't understand. Yeah, Trump blames Russia too. No, Trump is an asshole. Okay, Trump doesn't know what side is up or down. Okay, he's a buffoon. I loathe him. I don't give a damn what he says. I'm not angry at you. Uh, who was that? Untamable. I'm not angry at you. When I see him spout off his mouth anymore, and again, it's not just, that he's acting clownish and putting people down that are like the mainstream media, which while it may have not been exactly the way I would have done it, it was okay. But it's all this other stuff he does, like this. He's backing up the military industrial complex. He even says, support the blue, right? Support the blue, support our military. What have they been doing? I'm not saying all cops are bad, but the way they're being used now, and we've seen it over the last 2 years, what they're willing to do that the government's telling them to do, and they'll do it. And we have some sheriffs standing up around, especially in Illinois, against the attacks on the Second Amendment. They're going there, and Pritzker says he's going to get rid of these county sheriffs that are standing against him. Don't underestimate Pritzker County sheriffs. He's got the backing of some big people here in D.C. and in New York. Be very careful. Stand your ground, but you got to be ready to fight. So getting back to this thing over here, there's been a big shakeup in Ukraine with Zelensky's closest associates. He and Biden are kind of on the way out, probably. I don't know. These things are played kind of funny. This whole thing with the classified materials. Now even Pence admits that he has some. I mean, this is just getting out of control. You know, it just shows you that the government has people they protect. That's really how you have to look at it. Okay. But at any rate, this entire thing, I'm sure there's information on the Biden documents on his support for Ukraine and China and the corruption that he's done there. Apparently, even his son, the one, he apparently was using some of that information to help do some business deals in Ukraine and elsewhere. So Ukraine has been the playground for all the corrupt elites. They want to protect it because there's information there that could bust them. Their little treasure trove that it keeps giving them is a problem. And of course, again, it sits on the Russian border, and they want to encompass Russia and do to Russia what the Americans say they don't want done to them. Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. Well, the United States government is certainly not following that commandment, are they? And they haven't for a long time. And it's not projecting power. I used to look at it as a military officer. Projecting power around the world is a good thing to protect our interests. And when I say interests, I mean our citizens and what they do. Okay, I don't mean interests in the sense that we can rape countries. That's not what I'm talking about. But that's because I was naive. But that's what the government's talking about. They, as I have said for a long time, these bases we have around the world are not there to protect the countries. They're there to show that we occupy them, that they are our puppets. And I finally realized that sometime in the 90s, I think it was, when I finally realized that, our bases in Germany and Japan, and et cetera, are there not so much to stop supposed adversaries, but to make sure those countries knew that they had to toe the line about what we said, that we occupy them. And right now not Russia, we are destroying Europe. Look at the Nord Stream pipeline, what happened there. Look what they're doing with disarming almost all of Europe. The Americans are demanding that Europe disarm and give it all to Ukraine. I wish I could get into some other details about this. There are people that are saying, Roy, Ukraine's the new Jerusalem. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's looked at that way amongst certain people. That's very possible. They're emptying out the white Christians there who have been deceived in Ukraine. The Ukrainian government is doing it, and of course, Russia is having to protect itself by doing the same thing. So maybe that's exactly what's happening here. It's not just a money laundering scam. It's not just a place to do all the illegal things that reward the evil ones, and not just going after Russia because they want to break Russia up, but because they want to empty the land out of, and I know this is going to sound racist, sorry, but it's the truth, of white Christians. Okay, and historically, that we've seen that happen quite a bit. That's probably going to get me thrown off. But, sometimes you just got to say it the way it is. The sanctions are hurting Europe more than they will ever hurt Russia. Europe has been a competitor to the United States for some time, not just the vassal. They aren't just a group of vassal states. In Ukraine, they're even calling it 51st state, but we consider them economic adversaries. And so, as you see with the Inflation Reduction Act and the efforts to bring European factories and production here to the United States, we're about destroying Europe. We are destroying Europe. Prima facie evidence. We are destroying our brothers and sisters in Europe. And we're using the war in Ukraine to do it. And look, Biden had a chance. He just admitted that shutting down the Keystone pipeline was wrong. But then he's going to veto H.R. 51 or 21, whichever it is, that's supposed to open up the drilling again. These guys lie through their teeth. They have a gun to their head by somebody who's telling them what to say. They don't represent you. Okay. They're definitely subservient to the United States. They're trying to back off this tug of war about the tanks, especially the Leopards in Germany. They tried to flex their muscle, but they finally gave in. There is some very, very evil force with a lot of power. It's not just money, I don't think. It's not just money. There's an evil force with a lot of power, and people are afraid to stand up against it. And unfortunately, it resides right here, which hurts me because I stood up for this thing for many, many years. When I found out that the Statue of Liberty, which I held in some esteem for a long time, was actually a symbol of Lucifer, then I finally saw it. It's not that liberty is wrong. It's not that the United States, the concept of liberty, because liberty is talked about in the Bible and the Gospels. It's a big thing. being independent, being able to decide your own destiny and that kind of thing. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have to do it in some parameters. And liberty means freedom with responsibility. Unfortunately, the Luciferian system, for lack of a better term, considers that anything goes as long as they win. And blind faith is extolled, and unquenchable materialism, consumerism is encouraged, not responsibility. And that's where they took us. The day that they put up, and it happened before that, but the day the Statue of Liberty was put up in the United States, in New York there, was actually a sad day because it showed what we were really and where we were headed. No, I'm not for the monarchies of the world, but we've done a lot of damage, both to our own people and to people around the world. And as I've said, as Assyria took out the northern kingdoms of Israel, not that the Assyrians were good, but that's what these guys are going to do too, to this and much of this. I think Russia would like to have a good working relationship with the Europeans, but they don't know who to trust now, and I don't blame them. And Alexander Mercouris and Alex Christopher talk about that, as well as Colonel Douglas Macgregor. The United States, you can't. When they sign an agreement, the agreement may as well be toilet paper, because that's exactly how the U.S. looks at it. It's just a tool to get their way, and they'll break it at the first opportunity they get. So as Assyria punished Israel, so Russia is going to punish the Western democracies, so-called. When you look at what we're promulgating and promoting these days, the absolute evil and debauchery, the danger that the kids can't even be raised in, trying to figure out what you are when you're growing up is hard enough without people telling you that you're something other than what you are, and that you should be encouraged to become something other than what you are. And I'm talking in very coded terms here. Russia won't put up with that nonsense. So God's going to bless them to destroy this and this. Might be financially, or it might be worse. Anyway, it's going to happen. And unfortunately, when that starts happening, these people here that run this are going to turn more and more and more against you, because they have to hurt somebody. If they can't hurt them, they're going to hurt you, because that's what they are. They're sociopathy idiots. So sociopathic idiots. That's all I got. Got to get moving. You all have a great day. I'll get back on when I can. Remember, when I find out if this doctor and his staff have a fund program somewhere, I will let you know, and I will vet it myself. Okay, and let you know that it's good. Catholic monarchy is God. You all take care out here.